Hello everyone, you are listening to Chat and Cathy. Today we're embarking on a journey through funding, reputation, and rational resource allocation so as to sustainability in Zulu and beyond it to the Web3 ecosystem. And I think it would be great and actually better we have someone know about this topic and have good insights on it to join us. So today we are joined by Daniela from BlockFul and Nico from LottoPGF today. Hi, Daniela, could you introduce us about yourself?
Sure. Jam. I'm Daniela. I'm the product manager at BlockFul, and we are building public goods. I'm also a NãoDAO member, Nãos Brazil DAO member, Chainlink community advocate, and a Web3 postgrad professor in 3 universities, 3 colleges in Brazil.
Fantastic. Nico, how about you? Could you bring something else too?
Yeah, absolutely. How's everyone? Glad to be here. Yeah, I'm Nico, originally from Bolivia, but living in Europe now. I've been working mostly with communities since I became a builder, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, building tools for communities mainly and building communities myself. I'm one of the founding members of Ethereum Bolivia and community here in Europe. Started here in Amsterdam called WebLab and expanded to a few cities. And yeah, the latest project that we're working on is LottoPGF. Basically, well, we're gonna talk about it in a bit, but we incentivize public goods funding through lotteries, through a permissionless protocol that allows anybody to create their own. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. And let's dive into today's topic. So sustainability isn't just a buzzword. In the realm of Web3, it's actually a cornerstone for success. And today, so we are exploring what sustainability means to a project and to the project viability and also the ecosystem health. To kick things off, Daniela, could you discuss how sustainability principles enhance the resilience and the success of Web3 projects?
Nice. Wants to go first? Wanna go, Nico?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think, in general, it's just the way Web3 unlocks so many different ways to I would say coordinate the community towards a more sustainable development of not only like a specific app or even community itself, but also like the entire ecosystem. I think it's something we're all still exploring, and I'm super excited to talk about this in this podcast. But I think the core idea is that thanks to Web3, thanks to these mechanisms, we can just really coordinate and align a lot of different parties. So how I always think about sustainability, let's say in Web3 compared to the previous world, is there's less separation between the different parties. Like let's say the people who fund the project, the people who are the users of the product that the project is developing, and the team even, and everything around it. So before it was a very clear separation, but nowadays, like with the tokenization and like all these other different mechanisms, it kind of aligns all the parties in the same box, although everyone has the role, of course, but like giving ownership to all the members, all the stakeholders around the project, I think is a huge unlock for the sustainability of these projects, and also creates this concept of community that is formed around this, which is super key for sustainability again. So yeah, excited to explore this, and would love to hear your take, Daniela, as well.
Oh yeah, I think the point is to not bring the problems of Web2 or in real life world to the Web3. We are here to be an option. We are here to not see like who has more money, having all the type of funds. and who have less, aka new projects, having nothing. So we need to not bring this Web2 problems, this plutocracy problem to Web3. So if you do that, DAOs will keep working. For example, now's DAO. If you do this, people will start to search ways to, I don't know, hack some protocols or not do efforts in order to earn money. So we have to stop with this thinking of like, okay, I'm going to join this ecosystem, I'm going to join this project. What can I do to don't do any type of effort and have a lot of money? So this is an old problem. Here in Web3, we have the community. Everything is about community. So how can we not bring this problem? How can we show that if you have willing, if you do your effort, you will win. So yeah, this is about sustainability, and sustainability for me is to not bring these problems to the Web3 ecosystem.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm curious, Nico, what are your thoughts on the current funding solutions and their challenges?
Yeah. Well, I think if we look at the scope of Web3, I think probably what Daniela says is the biggest problem or the biggest challenge that we have, like that we're inheriting a lot of the kind of behavior and mechanisms from Web2, like although, well, I guess let's take the example of like ICOs, like I see a lot of comments online of people saying like bring back ICOs, and I actually agree with that, because in the ICO era, like the things were a lot more fair, and it felt a lot more, Web3. I mean, of course, it was very P2P, PvP, like very, chaotic in a way. But it was just the beginning. I think like right now that the industry is a lot more mature, I think it can be a lot better, and that will help us also shy a little bit away from these sort of special deals that VCs and influencers and like specific people get when it's about funding a project. That is, like very typical of Web2. And I think if we bring back the fair kind of like funding mechanisms, I think that's going to be, if we keep exploring that, I think it's going to be huge. But at the same time, there's a lot of other different ways of funding, some that are even more obscure, let's say. But well, we have, of course, Gitcoin and like the entire public goods funding realm, which is very nice, especially at the beginning of projects, and like when projects want to experiment, and or maybe sometimes they don't really have a way to create a more sustainable mechanism for themselves. I think that's a interesting way. But there's like talking about these more obscure ways. For example, Zora had turned out to be super interesting for some projects who create like an open edition, but they still get a cut from mints and stuff like that. That is very underexplored, but I think it starts to be quite interesting for funding these projects. I'm missing a lot, so maybe Daniela, you can chip in as well.
Yeah, nice you mentioned Zora. Recently I read some articles from Jacob, and he published about hyperstructure, basically products that cannot be stopped, that has rewards on it. So it's a nice concept. If you guys are interested, feel free to search about hyperstructure. I love that. But talking about ways of funding, I think Nico covered very, very well the topic. I think quadratic funding is nice, but it is still depending on the logo. It's still depending on the brand. And new projects are excluded, in some way. So they earn less, while huge projects earn more because people trust that logo. So it is effective in some way because it is funding projects, but it still depends on the network. So if I'm a new project, I don't have a network, a great connection, I will not earn money enough to build a product. So yeah, but this is because we are exploring these funding models. And yeah, since then, quadratic funding is great, but we don't need to stop. We don't have to stop. We need to keep exploring this funding mechanisms.
Yeah, I totally agree. So yeah, we see the benefit of the quadratic funding and all the things it brought to us, but I think Daniela is right that we need to keep exploring it, and we need to some solutions to, let's say, improve it. Yeah. So I think those insights really highlight the importance of sustainability to the whole Web3 space. But how the sustainable practice can lead to long-term benefits for communities and the ecosystem. I think it's about the rational resource allocation. So it's all about maximizing impact while ensuring the longevity of our projects. I'm curious that Nico, I think you guys also participate in the recent Gitcoin round with the scope of Zuzalu. So have you got any resources from Zuzalu community and also the ecosystem? Do you think the resources are being allocated rationally?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know I'll be able to answer. I can talk for LottoPGF, and we definitely benefited from the round. It was interesting because, you know, Daniela mentioned, like, for let's say newborn projects is a little bit harder to build a reputation, and that was definitely kind of like the hardest part for us, because, well, especially because our product leads has to do with lotteries, which in general are sometimes not very nicely seen and can be for sure and have been for sure used for scams and stuff like that. So that was definitely the hardest part for us. But once, you know, we managed to communicate that, it got a very good reception in the community. I think it clicked for a lot of people. I think at some point we were kind of like in the top 3 of projects with the most donations and stuff like that. So that was very encouraging. So I believe that the community really explored that in depth, you know, like explored the projects and gave the new projects a chance, which was really nice. And I'm not sure that happens in other bigger rounds, like talking now about Gitcoin and quadratic funding rounds. Or right now there's the Gitcoin, I think, grant round 20 or something. And I experienced that myself. I was like, I cannot go one by one and read like these massive texts, you know. I just have to kind of lean more towards the one that I know that have a reputation or that are part of a specific community and stuff like that to donate. So if it's rational, maybe not. Maybe there's ways to do that better. But I think at the same time we're just starting, so I'm excited to see how that will evolve.
Cool. That's why we're trying to aggregate like reputation. Imagine like a funding where you can see, okay, this team is made of those people, and this guy here is the DeFi master. This guy here is, I don't know, he collaborated to many DAOs. So you don't need to read all the text, the team involved. Oh no, those guys really, for real, they are building a lot. So here goes my donation. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Nice.
I think Daniela, with I know that BlockFul is focused on the human coordination to optimize it. So with your experience in it, can you share some insight or strategies that have been particularly effective in managing the resources to support ongoing development and community engagement?
Open source. We have a use case. We have a product called SwapPlace. It's a swap dApp, and it's an open source. So everything we are building is open source because you can reward developers. Even if you have like small funds, you can reward developer with that funds, and you can onboard new developers. We have like some developers in SwapPlace community that they were like Web2 developers joining Web3, so it was also an educational hub. and it proves like effectiveness in terms of people, maybe not in terms of time of the development. Is not that fast, but it's a great experience to build everything as an open source, because you can allocate funds well, you can reward developers, you can onboard people, you can onboard developers, even if you have a small amount of money. So I think open source is great. And besides that, if you are building an open source, you are also building a public good for this ecosystem. So
Yeah,
you can bring it all together, like education, allocate funds very well, public goods. So open source is the path.
okay. Yeah, I agree. And open source is definitely one of the critical things for public goods and for the rational resource allocation. So I think over at BlockFul, transparency and community engagement play key roles. So so how does BlockFul integrate these elements into your operations, and what challenges have you faced?
Talking about open source and not about the reputation protocol we were building, but talking about open source, I think the biggest challenge is keep the community engaged. So, but this is an open source problem. Like, so you can see developers joining, building, and they leave because they have to do another stuff. But we have developers with us like since the beginning, and yeah, this is the biggest challenge. And for sure funds, like, okay, if you are an open source, why are you asking for grants, for example? And then we have to explain, we are asking for grants because we want to reward the community, we want to turn this we want to distribute this to the community and use a product to do it. And this product is also a public good, so you can create swaps without fees, and it's totally built by the community. And talking about challenges and transparency, about the Zoo Trust, the reputation protocol we are building, I think it is in like research phase, but I think it would be bring off-chain data such as events, such as participation in Discord communities, to the on-chain environment. So, and this is very important, mainly when you're talking about like Zuzalu, and everything is about events, collaboration, and not only on-chain data such as POAP and NFTs, but we are figuring out how to do it. But yeah, everything would be open source, so all the community can collaborate and help us to face those challenges.
Yeah, so it's so BlockFul is trying to be inclusive and open to the collaborations from the community. And I'm curious, like in your protocol design, actually, because you also mentioned it's actually difficult for new projects to get support with the current design or current mechanism of quadratic funding. So in your protocol design, how about a new project, and what do you think about its reputation and the resources it will get relatively?
Wow, yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, the first thing is, you're right, like BlockFul is trying to be inclusive. It's being inclusive, doing it in an open source way. And when you're talking about new projects, Zoo Trust is not about fund projects, it's about aggregate reputation. So a project itself will not have a reputation, but it's worth to remember that a company's reputation is the sum of the employees' reputation. So if I work for BlockFul, if Nico works for LottoPGF, and Nico has a great reputation, on-chain data about Nico, it's saying this guy here, he's all about DAOs, he's all about building. So of course, LottoPGF reputation will increase because of Nico. So this is my path on reputation related to projects. Projects will have a great reputation if they have great people, great employees.
Maybe like a quick question, Daniela, like have you thought of integrating vouching as well in your reputation? Because, also tackling into the problem of new projects, because like I love onboarding people to Web3, and like these people will have like zero on-chain data or anything, but they might have good ideas, so if there's a way for people with a good reputation to vouch for others, I think that would work very well.
Yeah, it can help also. Yeah, we are totally thinking about implement those kind of things. Also, like attestate, for example, if I see you at an event, you can import like I was at this event and I can attestate, oh, I saw Nico there. So yeah, this is a kind of vouch for sure. Like I'm trusting Daniela because she said Nico was there, and because someone said Daniela is trustable. Um, yeah, but vouch people is for sure something very, very nice.
Yeah, great to hear, and I'm very excited about and looking forward to trying about BlockFul. And so before we continue, we have an exciting announcement that Zuzalu.City is teaming up with LottoPGF in a groundbreaking collaboration focused on fundraising for the spaces in Valocracy. So, Nico, can you shed some light on how this partnership will work and its expected impact on the sustainability of projects in Valocracy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, super excited to see that. Well, LottoPGF was sort of born. I remember I was in Zoo Connect in Istanbul and was getting feedback about LottoPGF from the members there, and I'm excited to see that Zuzalu is also going to become one of the first pilots of LottoPGF. Basically, how it will work is, at least in the first phase, we're going to integrate this lottery system that will allow people to donate to Zuzalu, and by doing that, they will also participate in a lottery for a prize pool. And down the line, this will become available for other projects to create their own lotteries, so that they can raise funds for their own events and technology and projects. So yeah, it will be a step-by-step process, but we're super excited to see how it moves forward and how the community receives it. And I think like the core idea of LottoPGF also came from the fact that nation states use lotteries to fund public goods, but they do it in a very intransparent and like dubious way. So if we can kind of create this new wave of network states with a similar mechanism, but that is a lot more transparent, a lot more, let's say, democratic or permissionless, in the sense that anybody can spin up their own and make sure that they support by playing, they support the projects they want to support. I think that's going to be great, and I love that Zuzalu is one of the first ones.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this partnership and collaboration. And the city will be launched. The MAP will be launched during the Zoo Georgia, so you guys can come to try with little PGF and the new features inside City. So yeah, so funding isn't just about having the capital; it's about smart capital as well. So in Web3, innovative funding models are essential for sustainability. In the context of Web3, what are the potential risks associated with leveraging community-driven funding models, Nico?
Yeah, I think tapping a little bit into what I said before with the ICO phase, it's like, well, there's of course like the opportunity for a lot of these people who just want to make quick gains and pump a token and then just dump it as soon as they can. So that's definitely a problem that can potentially be solved with the reputation. So like I can't wait for Sutrust to grow and appear in some of these other mechanisms as well. But I think, yeah, that's probably one of the biggest challenges that make things unsustainable. It's people who just want to make quick gains instead of being actually aligned with the project. So if there's a way to filter that or mitigate that, because, well, it's also okay for them to participate, but maybe make sure that we mitigate their negative impact, I think it's a great step that can be achieved with reputation. I don't know, maybe you have some other ideas, but yeah, what do you think, Daniela?
Yeah, it's very nice you're mentioning like ICOs, because thinking of like the new modules, I don't even think about it anymore. I think the community already looks at ICOs and think, not here, not anymore. I think we're changing paradigms here. That's good. Yeah, looking forward to work together. Also, like excited to see LottoPGF and our reputation protocol. Yeah. What was the question again? Sorry.
So we were talking about the challenges of these funding mechanisms, and yeah, I don't know, like the one that came to mind that has this biggest misalignment was ICOs, but maybe you can think of some other ones.
Yes. Challenge of funding. So many. Yeah. I think of talking about ICOs, I see like not user farming and also a way to hack this way of funding. So such as like airdrop, for example. People are farming every time. How can we solve that? How can we solve those problems regarding to people and funding problems, and also quadratic fundings and new way of funds. Yeah, I would tap into reputation a little, because I think that reputation will solve part of those problems, because we will have like a badge that can tell people, that can tell the community that this project, these people involved in this project, they are trustable. They have been building a lot of in this ecosystem. It's not only like a new project that just joined this ecosystem. I know people, and I'm not talking about anonymity. Anonymous is great also sometimes, but I have just joined here. I'm talking about I'm building a new product, and I'm launching like an ICO, and let's see what happens, and then the project just disappear. So we need to talk about reputation, because hashes can be well funded if you can prove that they are really building and that they are doing efforts towards the community. And this is Valocracy, when you fund someone based on their efforts and not based on their reputation, based on network, but a reputation based on efforts, and not only on logos and brand. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, actually. How brands were like the way for people to signal
And
reputation, but
exactly. Yeah. And we are in an environment where we don't need to trust logos, and we are doing it when you talk about funding. Why not trust efforts instead of trust logos? Why not only verify? You don't need to trust is there. Verify the badges. I prefer to talk about Valocracy, this kind of funding mechanism based on efforts, because democracy normally ends in plutocracy, because the power of money is more effective than the power of morals and the intelligence and efforts. So I like the concept of Valocracy.
How do you call it? Allocracy?
Valocracy.
I haven't heard about it, actually.
Yeah.
Valocracy.
Valocracy. There's a Web3 builder here in Brazil, and he created the Valocracy manifesto. And I was already studying about reputation after a hackathon in Interior, Argentina. And I started to read a lot about reputation. I started to read a lot about Valocracy, and I was like, okay, they have something to do because Valocracy is based on effort and reputation also. And our purpose here is not to define what reputation is, but aggregate all your efforts, and then the community or the DAO will tell us what reputation means to them. So that's why we are just aggregating on-chain data, on-chain efforts to give them to communities and DAOs, and they will tell the users, the members, what is important to them. But Valocracy Manifesto is a nice manifesto. The only challenge regarding Valocracy is about being funded with huge amount of money. We know that plutocracy attracts ventures. We can see like Uniswap DAO, they have a lot of venture capitals because plutocracy is interesting for people who have money. And this is not a problem. Like plutocracy is not a problem depending on the context. But when you're talking about community, new projects, new members, or onboarding people, onboarding developers, events, we need to talk about Valocracy. We need to talk about efforts. So
Yeah.
I talk too much.
No, it's super interesting
No,
because
it's very interesting. Yeah.
yeah, I can see. I love that you are like for your reputation protocol, you're reducing it to the individual as well, because that can also be used not potentially in the future, not only for the reputation of the projects that you're funding, but also for the reputation of the people who are, let's say, investing or funding the project, right? Because what I mentioned, like this problem of people who just want quick gains, you can create some reputation around that as well, and just make sure that, I don't know, you give them a
Yeah.
lower allocation or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, super cool.
Thanks. And I have a question for you. I think LottoPGF is very, very, very nice. It's about lottery, but it's like lottery will happen anyways, if you want or not. But let's use it to help projects. Let's use it to fund other projects, and this is amazing. I love that the core. But how do you deal like with this part of ecosystem not seeing lottery as a good thing? How do you manage to explain that to them, what you're building, what you are doing? Well, yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, it's a challenge because the main problem I would say is that when people hear lottery, they also relate it to a casino, and that's like very different to what we're doing. But a lot of people have a better reception because they relate lotteries to like nation state lotteries, where they actually say they do good stuff with the money they collect. So that becomes an easier pitch for those people. But the next thing is like everything is very traceable on chain, right? So when people set up a lottery with the LottoPGF protocol, they will be able to see what percentage of the ticket sales are going to go to support the project and what percentage are going to go to the prize pool. And it actually creates this kind of wheel of the prize pool continuously grows and incentivizes more people to buy more tickets, which like in the end is a donation for the cause that they're supporting. So when that clicks, and especially the part that you are not forced into one, like in what nation states do, like you need to play the national lottery, you don't have options, then you can support the lottery that supports, I don't know, networks like Zuzalu, or you can play the lottery that supports a school in your community or something like that. So the idea that you can channel that gaming behavior towards those causes, I think it's what clicks on people. And yeah, but it's definitely a challenge for sure. So it's great to work with aligned parties, and also trying to kind of make sure that our reputation is clean from the beginning. Like we donated to the currently running Giveth quadratic funding round with some of the proceeds that we got from a test free-to-play lottery, like that people could donate to get more tickets. So we just donated straight away so that people really understand how it works.
Nice. Yeah, it's nice to talk about reputation and to work alongside this kind of project, like with willing to help. Yeah. I bet that to talk about lottery is as difficult as talking about reputation. if you go to Alchemy and search for reputation dApps, we find like 26, 27 protocols. And I don't know how to define what reputation is. For example, we have Zilli there, we have Ceramic there, we will have like Zutrust there. What the hell is reputation? So
but that's also the beautiful part of it, because people,
exactly.
and that's the beautiful part of like Web3 as well, that people will be able to integrate the one they believe like it aligns the most. So it's a game for everyone. I really like that.
Exactly. Yeah. In my point of view, like Zutrust is more aligned with the concept that says the reputation is aligned with efforts, not only networks or money, but efforts.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, I totally agree with you guys, and it's very interesting, like information sharing. Actually, it's also my first time hearing about Valocracy. Yeah.
Valocracy,
Valocracy. I will research on it, I think, after it. And beyond Zuzalu, I'm curious, like, I know that LottoPGF is also open to the other integration. So does LottoPGF have plans for other funding models that could benefit long-term project viability?
Do you mean for the LottoPGF project itself?
Yes.
Yeah, we're actually talking maybe a little bit about ICOs. We're planning on launching a juice box campaign. Maybe it's not like strictly an ICO, but it's a way to involve the community and to attract contributors to participate in it. Like last week we announced AutoDAO, that is the DAO that's going to steward the LottoPGF protocol. With this Juicebox campaign, we aim to attract more people to be part of the DAO and make decisions together to define the direction of the protocol, and also to have a bit of a treasury to decide which public goods to maybe help out, give them a little push to seed their jackpots, for example, and so that people can already start participating, or also to create a sort of ecosystem, like maybe integrate a reputation protocol or something like that, or who knows what can be developed from there. But yeah, that's our plan for now, and potentially later on have our own lottery, because that would make a lot of sense.
Zug explained to me this funding to reach more people of the juice box. I think this is amazing. Just giving my 2 cents here, because I think this is awesome. You reach more people. It is changing the paradigm of wrong way of fund. It's amazing. Just my 2 cents here. I admire this kind of project a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah. And so as we wrap up today's enlightening discussion, so we've dived deep into how sustainability, and when integrated with rational resource allocation, not only supports but enhances the success of Web3 initiatives. So thank you to our guests Daniela and Nico, our listeners, for joining us on Blue Chat. Let's stay tuned for our next episode.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Nico.
Thank you, Daniela. Thank you so much. Great.